Hello everybody. Hey, got some new stuff in. If it's the stuff I think it is, we're going to make a video. It's going to be about the brushed motors. I'm still going to do the brushless conversion on the other car, but for today all the electronics are in it, and this is my quick and easy way to do this. So we're going to put the brushed motor in here, and if the weather holds out, that was then. This is now. We'll get something done. If not, we won't. I'm going to address this first because I actually had a couple of questions come up, and this could have been rebuilt. Wasn't the choice that I made because I wanted to do this video the way I wanted to do it, but that could have been cleaned up. And that's actually plastic, I think, from that fan that was melted in here. And I actually had another question about the fan. Somebody's running one of the little heat sinks on their motor, and it's covering these holes up, and they wanted to know if that was the intake. Now that's what keeps these magnets in place. It's a fixed place on this side, and then they put the indentations in here to lock the magnets in. This is actually your intake, and then the fan exhausts through right here. So if you want to put the heat sink on there, you know, feel free to do so. You're not going to obstruct the motor by doing that. So get those two things out of the way. And I got some stuff in the mail, so if this is the right stuff, I got a digital tachometer to do some motor testing with. It's a heat gun and a digital tach. So happy to see that. And this is some wheel spacers so that I can run the big tires on the car without it hitting the body. So we'll see if those work out. And this stuff here, I haven't opened yet. This should be a couple of motors. So I got a little cooling fan to go on the motor, and I picked this up. This is a 540 17 turn. And this one is a 550 21 turn. And I think today I'm going to put the 540 17 turn motor in there. And then we'll go out, throw a GPS on it, and do a speed test. Okay, I've got the motor in the vise here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to solder the wires on it. This one does not have the wires soldered on from the factory. So I'm going to tin this. This is the positive side right here. So I am going to tin this real quick. And the positive wire is already tinned. So you just hold that until the solder flash is over, and there's my positive wire. The negative goes on the same way. And I do have this in a vise, but I'm holding it just enough to hold it. Was a little dab of soldering paste just to help tin this. Yep. Gotta snug that up just a bit more. That part's done. Okay, first thing I want to do is try these wheel spacers and see if they're going to work on this car. I think I see a problem. The purpose for these was to get the wheel out just a little bit. I think these are roughly, well, 0.590, 15 millimeters. So the purpose was to get the wheels out another 15 millimeters so they didn't rub on the body. But these are the wheel nuts, and they fit the wheels, but they don't fit this axle size. So that was a good plan, but poorly implemented. So those aren't going to go on. I'll leave this in the video just to show that everybody makes a boneheaded decision. So here we go. Boneheaded decision 1 this morning. All right, we're going to throw the 17-turn motor in here. And it is a 540 instead of a 550. Should turn a few more RPM. But I think I'm going to do a break-in on this motor. Some people do break-ins, some people don't do break-ins. If you haven't ever seen a break-in, I'm going to do a water break-in. So if you want to see a water break-in, stick around for a minute. I'm just going to go through the motions. I'm not going to do the whole break-in on camera, but show you what it looks like. Okay, this is not the only way to break one of these in. If I've got a ready-to-run car, I generally don't do this. I just jack the car up, get the wheels off the ground, and let it run in for a little while. What I'm going to do on here today, I've got a power supply. I'm going to back the voltage down to, I don't know, 3 volts to start with. And close enough. And I'm going to set the maximum current. I don't know, I'll set it at 5 amps. And then we'll see what we do. And I'm going to take the motor. This is a bucket of distilled water. So the motor is now in the distilled water. Hook up the negative, hook up the positive. And we'll let this run for, say, 15 minutes. And it will not make you endure the 15 minutes of run time. If you want to see what this looks like, I'll try to do this without beating the camera up too bad. Pretty simple. So it's actually, the current is limiting it because it's at 5 amps. The voltage dropped down to 2.9. So if I leave that there, if I go to turn the voltage up, see, the motor's not speeding up because we're maxed out at the 5 amps. So see if I can go a little higher than 5 amps on this. No, that's all this supply is capable of, is 5 amps. Nope, 5.1 amps, that's all it's going to let me do. So, but you see the voltage is actually coming up as the motor burns in a little bit. So I'm going to let this go for, say, 15 minutes, and we'll be back. Okay, I think this is probably enough. You can see what the water looks like now. So I'm going to shut this all down, and I'll take the motor and blow all of the water out of it. And just to show you, the water is a little bit warm, and the fan and armature and everything's in the water. So they'll show you what it does when I pull it out of the water here. Let's see. So everything's loaded up right now, even though it doesn't seem like it. But when I pull it out of the water and get the water out of the motor, see, the amperage goes down, voltage goes up where I had it set. And I don't want to rev it up too much because I got to re-lube the motor. So that's where we're sitting right now. I'll go clean this out, clean the water out of it, blow the water out of it, and I'll be right back. All right, what we're going to do now, we're going to lube this motor since we just burned all the oil out of it, put water in it and everything else. So all we need to do is put a drop of oil right there and a drop of oil right there. And what we're going to do is use some non-detergent, just regular old 3-in-1 oil, but any non-detergent oil will do. That's what I'm using. Put some on the back bearing, give it a little spin. And this motor actually has bushings. I think that's a bushing. I don't know. There's not a spec sheet in here with this. So I don't know if this is a ball bearing on the front or a bushing on the front. I'm assuming at the price point that this motor came in at that it's probably a bushing. But I can't see for sure. Now, this car is going to be converted to brushless, just not today. The screws that I have here, I'm not putting the factory screws back in. These are a number 3, M3 by 10. They're 10 millimeters long, and that gives me, I think, just enough stick out to engage the motor just fine. And I'm going to put some blue Loctite on this, and I think that is a 2 millimeter. Yep. All right, I'm going to grab the Loctite now that those are both installed. Okay, blue number 242. This is a brand new bottle, so I got to cut the top open. So what we're going to do is back these. I just put the screws in there to check the alignment. Everything looks good. There isn't any adjustment on the motor mount on this particular car, but the gear mesh is good as long as you're using the factory components. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to snug this one up so it doesn't move, is what I'm going to do. Take this one out, put just a dab on here. That's all you need. So I can do this without making a mess. Drop that in. And you need to let this stuff set up for a while. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat just a little bit. And I am going to warm it up with a hair dryer, because I would like to get a speed test in today. Since I only have one day at home, I got to try to get all of this stuff done all on the same day. And for whatever reason, the grub screw, Allen screw, set screw, your choice, that they used on here is an SAE. It's a 1/16 inch. I don't understand why they did that. I didn't get a vote on it, so it's not my fault. Apparently I didn't have the camera on for most of that, but the motor is in here. I got the gears back in here. I have a decent mesh on the gears. And what I was about to say is that the way you can check to see if your screwdriver is an appropriate size or not, this is not magnetic, but it fits in there really well. So see, it's not magnetic, so it won't pick it up. Anyway, that's how you test your screwdriver to see if it's the proper one for the job you're doing. So since I did not get any of this on video, I always want to say tape, but it's not tape. So if you've not dealt with putting screws back into plastic before, you want to try to go back through the same threads that they originally had. And what you'll do is you put it in there and you turn it backwards, and you'll feel a little click. When you feel that click, it's dropped back into the original threads. And you can do this a bunch of times without destroying the part, if you do it the right way. Well, apparently I actually screwed up the ESC. But one of the things, I got the motor in there, everything's in there, but it cuts out if I try to punch it. But I am going to cover one other thing while I got this video rolling. Some of the guys are having issues with the rear suspension being real rough. Well, what it is, the dog bones are overextended. So if you bring the axles up like it would be when you were driving it, it's much smoother. So you can feel the roughness in the car. Push those up, makes a big difference. So that's where I'm going to have to wrap this video up until I can get a new ESC. So I'm kind of disappointed in that. I wanted to see a speed test, but along with the motor being trashed, I thought it was just sagging the batteries or something. Last time it would cut out when I go full throttle. This time it cuts out if I try to go full throttle too, even without a load on the car yet. So I'll get an ESC and we'll revisit this.